Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. The draft is in the books. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. We're going to talk about the draft. We're going to go through rounds 1 through 3, and then day 3, we'll just kind of clump up. This just kind of a little short recap. We're just going to give some of our favorite, least favorite picks. And then next week, we'll go through the NFC class as a whole and then the AFC class as a whole and give our thoughts and everything. A deep dive that way. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up podcast. If you haven't already, like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. It helps grow the channel as we venture towards fantasy football in the 2026 season and the 2027 draft class. Nick, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. On the heels of the draft, all the work, it's done, it's over with, and kind of faded out. Took a day off from football. Just haven't really, obviously watched all 3 days of the draft, but that Sunday afterwards, I'm like, I've checked out. I'm taking this time off because, man, those deep dive into the draft classes, it really wears someone out. But we're through. The draft is done. The draft was insane. Round 1 was wild, dude. Yeah. We were watching with our buddy Colby K-Dog, and we were just like, what is happening? Right off the rip with, like, Bailey going 2, which is I had, but it kind of threw a lot of mocks off, and then Love actually going 3, Tay going 4, and then Reese falling to 5. And I was like, damn, what is happening? This draft is, like, actually wild, and it just goes to show that everyone's draft board was vastly different, and that makes sense in this kind of draft class where everyone is kind of ballparked together. There's no real set top 50. So it was wild.
It's always a little bittersweet afterwards. Like Sunday, I was just kind of like, well, the draft's done. Now what? Like I was kind of bummed, even though like I wasn't crazy about this class. Like this class was fine.
It was fun. This draft class was fun though.
It was interesting.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, the last 2 classes, there was like a lot of star-studded talent, whereas this one kind of lacked that top. And then looking into 2027, that has the potential to be one of the best draft class of all time. But we'll see who stays in school and who comes out come the end of the year and whatnot. So let's dive into this. We'll go through each round here. Let's get that screen share up. So this week we're going to go through just a quick recap here, and then next week we'll have 2 episodes, Tuesday and Thursday, our usual routine. We'll do the NFC and the AFC separately. Kind of grade them. I probably won't give out letter grades this year because we're kind of just we're grading a test that hasn't even happened yet. So we'll kind of do like a scale of 1 to 5, something like that. 5, we love it. 1, we hate it. 3, we're indifferent, something like that. And then after those 2 episodes, we're going to take a little time off, recoup, kind of probably won't be back till June where we can start diving into fantasy football. Yeah. All right.
See, a lot of these guys are actually going to be pretty valuable, like Jordan Tyson, Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate. A lot of these guys we're going to be talking about come June, July fantasy season. So certainly not Ty Simpson. I see him there. There's round 1. So.
Yeah, I know you're jazzed about that one. That might be like the biggest surprise of the draft. Like Ty Simpson actually getting picked 13 by the Rams, and then all the scuttle that came after that, like the Sean McVay presser, where he was just kind of like, he's going to compete with Stetson Bennett to be the backup. And he seemed real peeved about it. And then it came out that like Ty Simpson said he's never even met Sean McVay or Les Snead. And then a few days later, he's just like, oh, no, yeah, we met in private in secrecy and whatnot. And Sean McVay's like, yeah, like, Les Snead's not going to make picks without conferring with me. We're a team, we're a unit. We're going to, build this thing together. Like, but it kind of felt like Les Snead made this pick. And
it was all PR cover up. That's what it really felt like. It felt very cover up-y with like, well, you shouldn't have probably said that you've never met him. And then Ty Simpson's like, I met him. I met him in private. We weren't. And I'm like, nah, it's weird. And I honestly don't like the pick. I had him in my 60s. So 13 for the Rams. I get why they did it, but I don't look at it as like a crazy shock because the Rams obviously need a quarterback going forward. I just didn't think they would pull the trigger here with Ty Simpson at 13 when they could have got someone to actually help this team this season to make a playoff, like an actual Super Bowl run. So,
a
little bit of an odd choice.
who spent all offseason being all in
Mm-hmm.
to make a choice for the future felt strange. Yeah, and like before we even like keep going, like Garrett Nussmeier, like the quarterback drafting order was kind of strange. Like
Yeah.
Simpson went earlier than we expected. We expected someone to maybe trade back into the first to get him, or he would go at the top of the second, and then we would expect Garrett Nussmeier to be the next one off the board. But Garrett Nussmeier went in the 7th round. Like some medical issues there. Apparently, like some teams he kind of rubbed the wrong way because he came off as like a know-it-all. So he fell, and like Cole Payton, who was like my QB4, he went in the 5th, and Taylon Green, who has a ton of upside, he went in the 6th, and Carson Beck
Mm-hmm.
was picked at the top of the 3rd. He was the 3rd quarterback selected, and then Drew Aller went soon after him. So the pecking order of quarterbacks was strange, and then like tight ends as well was a really kind of like teams
There was
really
a weird,
valuing those blocking tight ends, and they went way
yeah,
higher than expected. And we'll
yeah.
get
There was
into
a weird cluster of like the mid 3rd to late 4th, where just a bunch of random tight ends went. That obviously I just look at them as straight blocking tight ends, and that's something I'm going to change next year because those guys tend to go earlier than they had. Like the last 3 or 4 years, there's been a few blocking tight ends that have
dating
fallen
back
to the
like
top
Tip
100.
Raymond.
So yeah, 100%. So like they can go as early as the 2nd, and the Jags kind of pulled the trigger, I think, there with one. But I don't know. The whole Jags taking a tight end in the 2nd, when you have Brendan Strange, I don't think that was a huge need.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brendan Strange is a perfectly fine tight end to hold him over at least another year. But yeah, the Jags made some very questionable choices very early in the draft.
Someone said them getting beat up on by like the Rams and the Seahawks kind of completely changed their mindset of things. Be like, oh, we just got to build a team like them, and that's kind of how they drafted. And James Gladstone did come from LA, and for years like the Rams just kind of threw consensus out the window and just kind of drafted their dudes, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So interesting approach without having a first to kind of go artsy and unique with your class. But yeah, who were some of your favorite first round picks? Give me like 2 to 4 guys that you really liked in
it'll come off as biased, I get it, but Arvell Reese falling to 5 is an insane value. He was a lot of people's defensive end 1. Most people had him going over David Bailey, who went 2. Like Arvell Reese was in contention for the 2nd pick easily. He took back the betting odds come early draft day over David Bailey. He fell to the Giants. He was reported their number 1 guy in the draft class. I had him at like 5 or 6, I think. Not number 1, but I know a lot of people that had Arvell Reese top 3 in the draft. So him going 5, I think that's huge for the Giants. I think they got the guy they actually did want. Another defensive end, Ruben Bain falling to 1. First round, pick 15. You see it there with Tampa Bay.
Dude, his walk to the podium to
amazing.
It just skipped the mirror hat. He just grabbed the hat and
didn't
just
even need it.
To Goodell, and he was freaking like bolstering his arms like they were freaking shotguns. Like, the league's in a world of hurt with him. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder.
I also think he just fell to a really good landing spot too. Like him and Tampa is a great matchup. I love that fit. He doesn't have to move far from Miami to Tampa, so hopefully Bain fits in well there and can make a huge impact. What's his face? I only had those 2 guys as like actual standout. I have a lot of guys in the 2nd. Fanu being the first tackle taken, I thought that was a little shocking. But I get it, the line versatility for Cleveland, so that's something that they needed more of than just a straight tackle. So they got a guy that can be a tackle, a guard, a center if they really need him to. I think he's going to be playing tackle this year, but worst case scenario, they can slide him over. So I get why he was the first tackle taken, but Maui Noah, I still think is the best tackle in this draft.
Yeah,
but Maui Noah is probably going to play guard this year, so it doesn't.
Yeah, what I liked about like the Giants picks, going back to Arvell Reese, is right after you guys picked him and then took Maui Noah at 10. You guys like came out and like explained like the plan, like, hey, Arvell's going to play inside linebacker next to Tremont Edmonds early on, but he's also going to play some edge. We're going to scheme him in. He's going to go back in coverage. Like, he's going to be this really cool chess piece of this defense that it affords you to keep Kayvon Thibodeau, because that was the minute you guys picked him, everybody was like, oh, Kayvon Thibodeau getting traded. And there were some rumblings that them in New Orleans were going to come up to a deal, but ultimately nothing happened. And then Maui Noah, you guys like, yeah, he's going to be playing guard at first, but I imagine next year or the following year, he is going to be your right tackle of the future, just going forward.
I agree.
I think just because you signed a Luminor to the 3-year deal, you're going to kind of give him the honor and the respect because he was good last year.
He was fine.
You're
Yeah,
just
he was
let him
perfectly
play right
fine.
tackle. You're paying him like a right tackle. Moe Noah is obviously one of the 5 best linemen, and he's come out and said that, like, in the pre-draft cycle there's 5 spots on the line. I'm one of the 5 best on the team. I'll find a place to play, and you'll plug me in there. So I like that you guys came out and there was no real speculation, like, is he a tackle, is he a guard? Like, right now, he is a guard, but he's obviously going to be the right tackle of the future there. I really loved Dallas getting Caleb Downs at 11. Christian
I love
Parker,
the pick, but I hate how Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Arvel Reese are all in the same division now, and it's my division. And luckily we have Arvel Reese, but it's going to be fun watching those Ohio State kids play each other, man. They're all going to be the leaders of their respective defenses. Maybe not Arvel Reese because he's got the IQ of some of his interviews, man, have me dying, dude. Just please get that man out. Like, do not let him talk in front of a mic. Speaking of talking, like, in front of a mic, Malik Neighbors should not be allowed to do any type of PR rep outside of the Giants, because for him to sit there and badmouth theoretically everyone on the team, he doesn't like the Arvel Reese pick because we picked an edge rusher last year.
And he was very like the Noah pick.
He was very pro Jeremiah Love, which is a back. Yes, taking stabs at Scadaboo and Tyron Tracy, our backfield already. Like, calm down. And like, they brought up, oh, what if you guys take Jordan Tyson? And he brought up how he's going to get paid more than him, and he's the number one. Like, bro, chill, take a step back. Like, you need to calm down, and you need to, like, really think about what you're saying, because the team is not going to like that.
Yeah.
But what a team is going to like is when an offensive lineman is asked how he's going to protect Jackson Dart, and he's like, oh, I will die for you.
Yeah.
That's the shit will get your team hype for you, not sitting on a couch for PFF bad-mouthing your own teammates. So, like, completely bad prospect for most Neighbors.
Baltimore was, like, one of my favorite landing spots when Harbaugh was still there prior to him getting relieved. And him ending up with Harbaugh in New York, I think it was great. But going back to Caleb Downs,
great
Christian Parker, the new Cowboys defensive coordinator, has just talked about how he wants this, like, super smart player, and he did wonders with Coop DeJean in Philly. He was the defensive backs coach there, and utilizing him and his, like, instincts and everything. And that's what Caleb Downs is going to be. He's going to play a little nickel here. He's going to play some safety. He's going to be the true leader of this Dallas defense. And I think Christian Parker, he's got a bright future as defensive coordinator. I think he's going to be a head coach someday. He's only 34. I really am excited to see what he does with the Dallas defense. And Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles have really been, like, the 2 guys that, like, Dallas has been targeting. And the fact they got Downs at 11, I mean, they had to move up 1 spot there, but they locked him in. I think that's an incredible pick for the Cowboys. Ruben Bain and the Bucks, as we touched on, excellent pick there. The Eagles jumping Pittsburgh to get Mekhi Lemon as they were on the phone. Pittsburgh was with Lemon, if he would, about drafting him, and then how he got the insight there, and he moved on up and got Lemon. So it pretty much seals the deal that, AJ Brown is going to be dealt. And then 2 more for me. Dylan Thieneman, you had him in your top 10.
Falling to 25 is insane. And the Bears have lucked out so well, dude. Like, that's such a good pick.
Great pick for the Bears there. And then my dude, Chris Johnson, first round, second corner off the board to Miami.
Hell yeah, dude. Shout out.
Boundary corner. Good size. He's going to be a great scheme fit for Jeff Hafley's defense in Miami.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that Chris Johnson ended up going first round. Like, that was such a nice, like, payoff for all of, like, the scouting prospects. Like, he shot up our boards quick. The Ty Simpson pick, definitely my least favorite pick of the first round. I'll happily say that. And then probably Price.
The best teams in football in the Rams and the Seahawks to be made the 2, most questionable, least favorite picks in my eyes to LA. And then
I think Seattle sitting in the spot they were at 32, and with only having 4 or 5 picks this draft class, they could have traded back at least once to grab another third or an earlier pick, a top 100 pick, and still gotten Price, I'm pretty sure. Like, 32 is just way too rich for me. He was barely in my top 100. I think he was like 90. Maybe in the the low 80s, but
75.
But he was just not my cup of tea. So I liked him as like a late round 2, round 3 running back. But for him to go first, that shocked me.
Yeah. Those were my 2 least favorite. Houston trading up for Keelan Rutledge, like I understand the mindset of it. They needed kind of a prick in this road grader, class eater on the offensive line, but I don't know if you needed to trade up for him. I like Keelan Rutledge. I had him in like my 55 range of my board, but at 26, like good football player, safe floor, good pick, but I don't necessarily love the fact that you moved up to get him. I don't think that was really a necessary move. Any others?
That's 2 years in a row where Houston's moved up for someone that I really didn't think they would have to. So I'm going to really follow that next year to see if that's just like a trend, because they traded up and got Woody Marks, and I didn't think they had to do that last year. Mm-hmm. They gave up like a third to move up and get Woody Marks, and then they ended up moving up for Rutledge this year. So I get you need the offensive line help, but like Lemu was still on the board. I see him right there. And there were other offensive linemen that were still on the board that I would have taken over Rutledge. So I didn't think they had to move up.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised to see Denzel Boston fall to round 2. I know you were way higher on him than I was, but I still thought, like, had you, as we'll just move on to the second round here, I love the Boston pick at 39. Like, had you flipped him and Concepcion and took Boston at 24 and then Cleveland take Concepcion at 39, that kind of lines up more with my board. I had Boston at, I think, 23, 24, 25, and then I had Concepcion, like, early to mid 40s on my board. But I love the fact that Cleveland was even had the wherewithal to double dip that position. Like this
100% and very early. It's not like a 4th round.
Yep. This tells me, like, I think Jerry Jeudy's safe. I think he's, wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 with these other two guys. Like this tells me that, like, they're kind of out on Cedric Tillman,
as they should be. Like I really like Tillman's talent, but he's never available. He can't stay healthy, and when he is injured, it just turns into this long, dragged out process for him to get back onto the field. So I really get going KC at 24 and then Boston at 39. Like, you are addressing your biggest need, and you are getting Shedeur the help he needs if you want him to succeed. So
this gives you an actual opportunity to evaluate Shedeur Sanders as a talent, whereas last year you really couldn't because the weapons weren't there, the offense just wasn't there. But now you have Concepcion, who's going to kind of be the Zay Flowers of this offense. You have Denzel Boston, this big contested catch, but also can work the field, good route runner. And then Jerry Jeudy, who can be your speedster. Like, all pressure's off him, and then you still have Harold Fannin. Like, there's really, like, when we get to the AFC, like, I really loved the Cleveland Browns draft. I thought they did a hell of a job this past weekend bringing in talent, but double dipping at wide receiver. We kind of were like, oh, double dip at tackle for them, which was a possibility, but they got Spencer Fanu early on and then double dipped at receiver with Concepcion in Boston. I thought this was a real good start for them to build this offense and, actually evaluate what Shedeur Sanders is going to bring to the table in 2026 to see if, you're going to be in the 2027 quarterback class market.
Yeah, 100%. And the Caden McDonald pick for Houston at 36 makes the Rutledge pick at 26 look better.
Again, another situation where it looks better if you flip those picks.
I agree. I would 100% agree to that. But I like the talent of McDonald at 36. I think that's a huge need. And they jumped the Giants to get him. So they knew that, that's a huge possibility for them to go McDonald to try to replace Dexter Lawrence. So they played the board really nice. Round 2, CJ Allen going 53 to Indianapolis. Like, Indianapolis being able to scoop up. I had CJ Allen, I think, like 22 on my final big board. Absolute like huge steal. I get he's hurt, but I think he's going to be the absolute replacement that they need to run that defense. And he's a middle linebacker that you can throw the mic on him. He can make all the calls. He knows exactly what he's doing.
And they were able to move down to get him from 47 to 53. So even better for a team that also, didn't have a first round pick. So they lack some high end capital, but to be able to move back, still get CJ Allen at 53, hell of a job there in Indianapolis. And another team where, like, I thought they had a phenomenal draft weekend without having, a first round selection.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that Pittsburgh was so gung-ho on getting a receiver, with getting Pittman in the offseason, getting DK last year, and they tried to get Malik Lemon in the first, and then they traded up to 47 in the Colts to get Bernard. Like, you really think you need a third receiver that bad? Like, I don't know. Just seems like a weird play because it's not really a team that's pass heavy. Like, there's already 2 big body receivers. They seemed like a team that would just get a speedster for their slot and not really invest draft capital. But They were willing to address a first, and it didn't work out, and then they addressed a mid-second and got Bernard. So
it's a nice crew, though. Bernard.
It's a great receiving room. I agree, but I don't.
It bolsters the room for Aaron Rodgers or Drew Aller or Will Howard or a 2027 quarterback if they want to go that route. D'Angelo Ponce of the Jets, an absolute dog. I think he's going to be great for Aaron Glenn in that system there in New York. I obviously liked Ponce a little bit more than you. Like, I still think he could play outside. I think he's going to be a great fit. Zion Young, such a Ravens pick at 45. This is kind of around the range I had him on my board, so way more comfortable there. Like, I just didn't see him as a first-round guy. And then Cassius Howell to the Bengals. I loved Cassius Howell. He was in my top 20. Get him at 41 with their first pick. Kudos there to Cincinnati, drafting another Texas A&M edge rusher. Last year drafting Shamar Stewart. This year kind of polar opposite, Howell, a little smaller build, shorter arms, but insane production. Whereas, Shamar Stewart just had the look, had the frame, but didn't have the production. So it'll be interested to see how Howell fits in there in Cincinnati. But I absolutely love that pick. And then Treydon Stukes, who I really wanted Minnesota to take in the second round. Vegas scooped him up at 38. I thought that was a great pick for them.
Yeah, he adds a lot to the defense for sure. Eli Stowers to Philly at 54. I love that pick. If Lemon in the first wasn't enough to say bye to Brown, Stowers in the second almost solidifies that with Goddard on a 1-year deal. Stowers is essentially just a really big wide receiver, and he could be used like an A.J. Brown or even Dallas Goedert in that offense. I like the Stowers pick more than the Lemon pick. I'm not going to lie. I had Stowers very high on my board, like 27 in my final top 100. I love the fit. I think him sitting behind Goddard and being able to play tight end 2 this rookie year and then stepping into that role next season, I think he's going to be a legitimate fantasy option in 2 years.
I do love the fit for both those guys, but I don't know how much I love them with Jalen Hurts, and we'll kind of get more into that when we dive in the Eagles class. But Stowers and Lemon, they really thrive off being active in the middle of the field, and Jalen Hurts does not throw the ball in the middle of the field whatsoever. So it'll be.
I think both will be able to take off the top, but that's what they got Smith. I think Smith's going to be doing most of the deep routes to where Stowers and Lemon can just eat the middle of the field.
A true test to how they feel about Jalen Hurts' future, because not a lot of guaranteed money locked up in him after next year that maybe they move on. We'll see.
Hey, they drafted Cole Payton, who I have written down on my list.
Yeah, similar style to Hurts, and I really wanted Payton to end up with Steichen and Indy, but to him end up in Philly. It also makes sense. 2 other picks I really like this round: Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and Gabe Akis. McNeil-Warren at Cleveland, they moved up and got him. He fell to 58, an absolute steal for the Browns. And then Gabe Akis, who I had in my top 25, 55 to New England, such a Patriots fit. They trade up to get him as well, and I think he's going to do great there for Mike Vrabel and crew in New England.
Last pick of the second was Bud Clark, so shout out Bud Clark for getting drafted that early, because a lot of people had him really low in their top 100s, and I had him around that range. I was pretty close to the range I had him.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that Bud Clark was ended up as a second-round pick. That's awesome. To a defense that's going to know how to use him. He's going to slide right into Seattle, and he's going to fit in really well, and I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, he's a little on the thinner side, but man, he can hit. He hits hard, so I'm a big Bud Clark guy.
Yeah. There are a bunch of picks I didn't like here.
Like all those tight ends.
Logan Jones, I like him as a football
They're coming
player.
up.
I don't like that he now has catch up for life, courtesy of Heinz, because Heinz 57, their 57 ingredients or whatever their catch up thing is. But they were given whoever got picked at 57 got catch up for life. So I'm sorry, Logan Jones, you're getting a low tier condiment for the rest of your life. I know you won't handle the catch up slander, but I'd be peeved.
Catch up's fine. It's fine.
I don't want all this catch up. What am I doing? Yeah, all these tight ends. Nate Bokercher, blocking tight end, whatever. Reach. You had him
as their first pick is insane. You cannot do that when you have actual needs.
Take Pregnon there. They take Pregnon later in the draft. Their draft looks better if you take Pregnon at 56 and then Bokercher wherever they took Pregnon in the third. But
it's crazy. What's his face? Pregnon fell that far. That blows my mind. He was my guard 3 on my final board. I had Basantes above him, but Pregnon falling that far is something I would have never imagined. He was getting late round 1 buzz up until the draft, and then he's going to go in the second, and then he just plummeted down the boards.
Yeah, and Marlon Klein, again, another like blocking tight end by the Texans. Like we joke about the Texans should have been in the market to upgrade over Dalton Schultz. I don't know if this was the play.
No,
And
I
then,
agree. Dalton Schultz is not going to have to anyway lose his job because of Klein. Like Klein's not going to be competing with Dalton Schultz. So like it's just a bad pick. Like the strings of like these blocking tight ends don't make sense to me.
And then Max Clare, love Max Clare as a player. He was my tight end 4, but the Rams have 100 tight ends. So
they drafted one in the second last year.
Yeah. And then you also have, Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, and Davis Allen. Like, it just feels like a weird thing for them to do. Like, I know they run a lot of multi-tight end personnel, but I don't know. I think they could have waited back, draft. Again, this is a player who's probably not going to help the team this year. Mm-hmm. So the approach the Rams had was very strange.
Yeah, they definitely handled draft day weird. Like, I get going all in on free agency, as the Rams should have, because they're in that window. But to not go all out in the draft and just kick the draft for, like, future players, that's what I was like, whoa, what are we doing here? If we're going all in, go all in. And try to get guys that can actually help the team this year. And I don't think either of those picks help.
Yeah. Davison Igbinosin, he wasn't even in my top 125, and Buffalo took him here at 62. I not a fan. Like, I know you need boundary corners.
It's early, but I had him in my 80s, so it's. I don't think it's that.
It's a little more in line for you.
Yeah.
And then Jake Slaughter again. He was outside my top 100, and the Chargers taking him at 63 when they just paid Tyler Biotish, the center. So, do they see Jake Slaughter as a guard? So that's going to be weird to see him kind of transition there in the Mike McDaniel system. Whereas like Pregnon was on the board, I would have rather Pregnon as a guard than potentially moving Jake Slaughter from center. Mm-hmm. And if they do think Jake Slaughter is just going to be the center, he's essentially sitting for 2 or 3 years behind Biotish.
Yeah. For a team that needs offensive line help, that's one that's not going to help with the near future. So I don't really understand that pick as well. But I had Slaughter in my top 100 on the very low end. It was like low 90s, but I do think that's a little bit of a reach.
Also, Buffalo being able to trade back twice and still land TJ Parker at 35. Good maneuvering there on their end. I think that's a great fit for Buffalo.
I deadass thought they were going to trade back again at 35. They let that clock tick, and I'm like, yo, Buffalo's still looking for trade partners. They moved back twice on day 1. Day 2 comes around, and it's like, oh, let's keep moving back. And they ended up taking TJ Parker, which is a great pick.
Yeah. Anyone else there in round 2?
I think I hit all my guys. Allen, Eli Stowers, Bud Clark, shout out for sure.
Derek Moore to Detroit. Strange pick. Derek Moore was like a fringe top 100 guy for me. So I didn't love it at 44. I thought I think Zion Young would have been a better fit there for them. And some of the other edges as well, like Gabe Akis. Like Derek Moore to me doesn't seem like the end you're banking on pairing with Aiden Hutchinson. He just feels like an end Detroit always drafts who kind of just fizzles out. Like I said, he was a fringe top 100 guy for me. Like I preferred his teammate Jayshawn Barham over him.
I had more in my top 100. I'm at 70. So
yeah. Round 3. Colts, AJ Halsey, who was a top 30 player for me. They got him at 78, an absolute steal. To manage to land him and CJ Allen in this draft, kudos to Indianapolis. They did a hell of a job. And there, I think Halsey's going to be great for that defense. Emmanuel Pregnon,
huge upgrade.
Who we've talked
there
about.
He is.
88, great pick there for Jacksonville. Makes up for the initial pick of Nate Borkature, but then they kind of messed it all up with pick 100 for Jalen Husky, who I had like 157 on my board. He was outside my 150, and they got him at 100. I love the back-to-back receivers here, Chris Brazzell and Ted Hurst. Brazzell to Carolina, Ted Hurst to Tampa Bay. I think those two will be nice fits for their teams going forward.
I really like the Ted Hurst pick because, like, on paper, if you're really just thinking about it, it's like, oh, the Bucs drafted a receiver to a really crowded room. But when you really think about it, they lost Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's been in the league for 10 years at this point, and he's always hurt.
Yeah, he has.
They have Emeka Egbuka, who was hurt last year. They have
Jalen
Jalen
McMillan,
McMillan,
always
who was hurt last year. So Ted Hurst has a legitimate chance to be the actual Mike Evans replacement because we talk about it every single year. It's, oh, is this guy actually going to be the Mike Evans replacement? Is it going to be McMillan? Is it going to be Ibuka? It could be Ted Hurst. Ted Hurst plays very similar football to Mike Evans, to where he's a big body receiver who likes to run deep. So I really think the receiving crew of the future is Ted Hurst and Emeka Ibuka, with Godwin getting older as well. But I really like that pick. I get Tampa going wide receiver in the top 100 because they know how important Mike Evans was and how important it is if Chris Godwin goes down or McMillan goes down or Ibuka goes down to have that wide receiver depth, because Baker Mayfield needs it. Baker needs all the weapons he can get, and he strives when he has an abundance of weapons. So I really like the Ted Hurst pick.
Yeah. I actually like a lot of the receiver picks this round. Like Antonio Williams, 71 to Washington. Great pick. I think he'll be great there. Perfect counter to Terry McLaurin.
Chris Bell went 94.
To you guys. Yeah. Malachi Fields to the Giants. I think that's a good pairing with Neighbors. Zachariah Branch, this is about where I had him. 79, I think that's a good fit for Atlanta. You brought up Chris Bell at 92, 94.
94.
He fell due to the injury, but, an excellent pick for the Dolphins there, who they took a bunch of receivers. They took 3 receivers, and the receiver they took first is probably their worst receiver. And it's probably one of my least favorite picks in this round in Caleb Douglas, who was my wide receiver 33.
Yeah, that pick does not make sense to me. I had him in like the mid-20s. So I'm just like, 75 top 100 is a wild take. Because like I said, he was a mid-20 wide receiver on my board. But to be able to get Chris Bell at 94, I think that helps tremendously, because I think he's going to be the receiver that really breaks out when he's 100% healthy.
Yeah, the Caleb Douglas pick and then the Jacoby Lane pick for Baltimore. Like, Baltimore then in the 4th round ends up taking Elijah Surratt outside the top 100.
Who is a better wide receiver than Jacoby Lane. Switch
them up. Again, another situation where your draft looks better if those two are kind of flipped.
I'm really surprised. The guy we just talked about, Surratt, fell that far. Like, I thought he would have been a guy the NFL absolutely loved. The way he plays football, and he fell to the 4th, and a lot of receivers went above him that I did not agree with.
Yeah. Xavier Thomas, he's another one of the wide receivers here in this range that was kind of like, what, why? Like, I had him in like the 6th round, and the Bears took him in the top 90. And then Kyle Shanahan just taking a running back in the 3rd to 5th round, who they all play the same. Kalen Black, good football player, but again, 5th, 6th round guy to me, and the Niners are taking him here top 100. Adding him into this list of guys with, Garendo and, Trey Sermon and Takarian Davis Price, all these running backs that Kyle Shanahan's just picked who never really work out.
Who'd they draft last year? The kid from Oregon, right?
Oh, yeah. Jordan James. And then this stems back to like Shanahan's early years where they drafted Joe Williams out of Utah in the 4th, and he had not even 100 carries in his career.
It's insane. I do not get it.
Yeah.
Shout out Joe Williams, though. I went to high school with Joe.
You did, yeah. Crazy.
That was not the name I was expecting to hear on this podcast. Joe Williams, Utah, and I'm like, hey, I went to high school with that kid.
What a pull! Takarian Davis, big football player, but he was like 120 on my board, so a little bit of a reach there for the Bengals. Markel Bell.
I know you see that Oscar Delp pick right there, and I know you be loving it, but I hate that pick. I had Oscar Delp
in my top 100, and
I did not.
I think it's gonna be great for New Orleans.
I like that pick in like compared to the other tight ends that went above him.
Yeah,
because I had him at like tight end 6, and there's been like 8 tight ends taken off the board above him, and I'm just like, why?
The fact that all these went over Justin Jolie blows my
insane.
mind.
That's actually one of my shout out picks. He went 5th round, 152. Justin Jolie, big Christmas to Denver.
Great fit.
The fit's nuts, dude. He's going to eat that up in that offense, dude. Like, I think that's an amazing pick.
Continuing, Markel Bell, he was like 101 on my big board.
No, you shut it. Big body. He's a Philly offensive lineman. He's going to. That pick makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does, but like they have new offensive line coach, so I worry about the development there. I felt that was just a little bit.
That.
But linemen, That
I like the
tends to
Sam
be.
Rouch pick, 69. I like that pick a lot. He's actually one of the tight ends. He was in my top 5. I like Sam Rouch
I
a lot.
do like Sam Roush, but like the landing spot's weird. Chicago. This tells me that maybe they're moving on from Cole Kmet. They're going to try.
I think it's going to be a
Kmet.
Cole Kmet thing that they don't really want to pay the contract anymore, and they could just rock with Loveland and Sam Rouch.
Sam
So I think that's a really good
similar
tight end
to
room.
Cole. Jayshon Barham, he was in my top 75. I think that's a great get for Dallas at 92. Eli Raridan, high upside tight end at 95. I think he's a good Hunter Henry replacement. Jennings Dunker, this is the range I had him on my board. I think he's a good fit for Pittsburgh.
I
But
think he's a great fit. I had him a little bit higher, but I'd have no gripes with him falling that far. But like him in Pittsburgh is a phenomenal fit. Like he's a dog, and he's gonna like Pittsburgh is going to love that kid.
yeah, Steelers fans are going to eat him up, and he's going to fit right into that culture.
Yeah.
As well. Will Kazmarek, I thought he would be the first blocking tight end picked. I almost had him in my top 100 just because I expected him to be picked in the top 100. But to be the third or fourth blocking tight end is kind of wild. So I think that is a good get there for Miami at 87.
Yeah, no. Next year when I do my top 100, I'm going to specifically put my top 3 blocking tight ends in my top 100 because they're all going. Every blocking tight end goes top 100.
Rank them with my tight ends. I'll probably have.
I agree. 100% agree. I will have 2 separate tight end rankings, and they will be the actual good tight ends who I like and tight ends that I will not touch with a 10-foot pole, but I know are going to go in the top 100.
Yeah, skill set wise, and that's where you got to kind of take the team building mindset when you're building your board. Whereas like, okay, yeah, they're not top 100 players in theory because like you just don't. They're just going to be good football players. They're just going to be on a roster and they'll have a role, but they don't give you a ton of upside. But teams value that second tight end, that blocking tight end.
The NFL values blocking tight ends 1,000 times more than I do. Like, obviously, I want my tight end to be able to block, but look how high I had Eli Stowers on my top 100. I 100% value a tight end that is Jimmy Graham, that can go out there and get up and play basketball over everybody else. And that's just how I want my tight ends. I want my tight ends to be big, fast, and athletic. And if you can block, that's just a bonus in my eyes. I don't need my tight end to block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Before we jump on in to day 3, let's shout out our affiliates over at W Energy and Findlay Hats. W Energy, it's good, clean energy, no artificial dyes, no sweeteners, none of that stuff. It's the energy Big Energy doesn't want you to have. Good clean energy, no artificial dyes. Like you get all your vitamin B, your vitamin D, all your nutrients you can get from W as well. They got a ton of flavors: rainbow sherbet, cherry lime, the s'mores you can mix with milk. That's back. I just ordered the retro sherbet myself, so that's going to be in the mail here shortly. I can't wait to dive into that. They also have like a sweet and sour blue raspberry, a ton of other stuff. So check them out. They do collabs with creators. They do collabs with animes. So a ton of stuff. They also have merch and all good stuff. So search them up. W.GG is their website, or you can search them in your app store. WDUBBY. Be better. Eat that dub with W Energy. Use the code Drafted Up for 10% off your purchase. That code works anytime you purchase from W. And then Findlay Hats. Their hats are built for good times and long times. Your hat is damaged or destroyed, they'll replace or repair absolutely free of charge. They got free shipping across the U.S. They do weekly drops every Friday night, so check them out. Join the force over at Findlay. They got the cool designs. They got the interchangeable laces, the pins you can swap out, all that cool stuff. They got the pocket on the inside as well if you want to, don't want to carry your wallet. It's weighing you down. You just stick your cash in the pocket inside your hat. Click the link in the description. You'll get 15% off your first purchase over at Findlay Hats. So join the force over at Findlay. All right. I think the obvious one is their pick 101.
Hell yeah, dude.
Jermod McCoy,
I got it written down.
From Tennessee, the corner. Medicals pushed him down the board way further than I think anyone expected. And it came out that he needs a bone plug eventually, which will be another surgery that'll keep him out for at least a year. So I don't know. It really depends on how comfortable you are, but I think the caliber of player Jermod McCoy is, I'm willing to take that risk in mid to late second round. I just think he's that good of a football player that if I'm I'm taking that shot on him.
I would 100% taken him in the second. When the Giants took Colton Hood at 37 or whenever it was, I would 100% been fine with us taking McCoy.
Yeah.
just seeing how it worked out. If he ends up playing, he ends up playing. He was my 16th ranked prospect in this draft. And that's just going off of 2 years ago tape because he didn't play football last year. And I get it. I 100% get it. He's hurt. He didn't play football last year. He might need another surgery down the line. I don't know, man. He ran at his field day thing, whatever the hell that's called. His little test triathlon. He looked fine. He ran out the water. And that means a lot to me. If you're out here running fast already, you are, even if you don't play the full year, you're going to play at some point this year.
Yeah.
And I think at 101, I think the Raiders got an absolute steal. Yep. Even if he plays 5 years, he's going to play 5 years of high elite level football. So,
and you're worried about it, you can move on from the fact that you got 4 or 5 years from a 4th round pick. That's a win.
I 100% agree.
Absolutely worth the risk there for Las Vegas. I actually really like just the top of the 4th round, like Brennan Thompson to the Chargers.
You got my boy sitting 107, dude. Holton to the Niners. Yeah, I had that guy 60. Like him in San Fran's line, I get he's a smaller defensive tackle, and he doesn't necessarily fit the mold. But in that defense, they are going to know how to use him, and he is going to outshine the 107th pick. He's going to be a top 60 guy in this draft class.
San Fran does a wonderful job drafting for scheme. Same, like 3rd round, they drafted Romello Height. Fits the scheme. San Fran really likes those kind of smaller edge rushers. Again, this is a draft class. Like if you move around the pieces and put Grayson Holton or Romello Height at where they took Kalen Black,
it would look a lot better. Yeah.
But Brendan Thompson, 105, Chargers drafting the wide receiver from Mississippi State. Of course, Mike McDaniel gets a speedster. I think that's a great fit for the Chargers offense. Caleb Proctor, who I really liked out of Southeastern Louisiana, I think gives the Cardinals kind of a gap shooting defensive tackle and a pass rusher from that position that they didn't really have. We didn't even talk.
I had Proctor top 80, so I think Proctor going 106 or whatever it was. I think that's a great pick.
Again, had they switched him and Carson Beck, I had Proctor in like my top 75, maybe 80. I had Carson Beck at 101. Or 102. He just missed my top 100. Like, had they flipped, I like the Cardinals draft a little bit better.
Disrespect, brother. You damn well know I had my boy Carson Beck in the top 100. I think he was like 98.
Yeah.
But him going 65 was really early. Yeah. But I get it. For a team that doesn't have a quarterback room, they got maybe the safest quarterback in this draft outside of Mendoza.
Yeah. Jude Bowery was right outside my top 100. He might have been like 105, so this is right around the range I think that's a good get for Buffalo. Jonah Coleman at 108 to Denver. The perfect, counter to J.K. Dobbins, who will eventually get hurt. And I think Coleman and R.J. Harvey is a great 1-2 punch for Denver going forward in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think Coleman's going to eat up that J.K. Dobbins role next year. Not this year coming up, but the next season after.
Elijah Surratt, we mentioned him before. He went 115 to Baltimore.
Hey, great pick.
Steal. Devin Moore was in my top 100. Dallas got him at 114. I think that's a good pick for them. Jalen Farmer for the Colts. I also had him in my top 100, which is an absolute just mean football player.
I'm about to shout out Tampa Bay for the 3rd time with Ruben Bain and Ted Hurst, and I'm going to shout him with Keontae Scott, who I had near my top 50.
Yeah,
I think they got an excellent corner safety combo guy to eat up in that defense, and that's another defense is going to know exactly how to use Keontae Scott. I absolutely love that pick. Tampa's one of those teams that I think had a phenomenal draft class.
Yeah, like I love a lot of the 4th round guy, like Jaden Kennedy, safety nickel. I think he's going to be great for the Chiefs. I had him close to my top 100.
Mike Washington, baby. 122.
Yep. Good get. And he's going to back up Ashton Genty, but we know Kubiak wants to utilize 2 backs. So it's going to be fun to see how they work. Skylar Bell to Buffalo at 125.
Oh, I love that pick. Such a good pick.
Cincinnati at 128. Like, these are 2 guys that were in my top 100 and absolute gets there for those 2 AFC franchises.
Yeah, I had all of these guys, Mike Washington, Sky Bell, Connor Lew, all in my top 100. So these guys in the 4th round. That's a really, really good pick. I had Bryce Lance right on the outside of my top 100. So that's a really good pick.
Bryce Lance was in my top 100. New Orleans double up on receiver. I think Bryce Lance with Jordan Tyson and Chris Olave, you're building something nice for Tyler Shuck. Kyle Lewis for Miami at 138. Again, top 100 guy. I thought the Dolphins did a really good with the majority of their picks. Ephesians Prysock, he was like 115 for me. So at 139 for the Niners, a good get as well.
I think LT Overton. And, I was high on him going into the draft, and Overton was borderline top 10 defensive ends. He ended up finishing like 14 on my overall defensive ends, but to get him at 137, he's a really good developmental guy for Dallas, and you can kind of just pin his ears back and just let him see what he can do. I think that could work out.
Mm-hmm. This was more the range where I was like, I had him at like 145 on my board. So this was good.
I get it. Yeah.
Range for him. More comfortable with him there. Some questionable picks. Caden Weightgen, the wide receiver from Iowa, who's a kick returner. Let's be real. Pittsburgh drafted him. He is a kick returner. He has no real value as a wide receiver, but am I drafting a kick returner in the 4th round? I don't know. We'll see. Jacksonville, a questionable one with Wesley Williams. Again, like I had a 6th, 7th round grade on him, 6, 7. So another questionable pick for them there. And Drew Shelton, I've been praising Dallas's draft. I just don't get that pick at 112. Like he just doesn't fit their linemen. Like Dallas usually drafts these big, mean, physical guys, and that's just not Drew Shelton. So I'm a little unsure about that fit there. And Cade Klubnik at 110, like this is probably around where he was going to go, but to trade up and get him, I don't know about that.
Yeah, especially with the way like Nussmeier didn't go until the 7th. Like I would have never drafted Klubnik any like rounds over Nussmeier. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. You'll love this. The Bengals drafting Colby Young at 140, a troublesome, kind of off the field, immature guy, classic Bengals pick. Your guy Jermaine Burton's getting a little tryout with Buffalo though, so shout out. What are your dudes?
Nah, I gave up on that guy. Don't you ever declare him as my guy ever again. That guy's a bum. Absolute bum, dude.
I know we said we were just going to clump round 3 or day 3 into 1, but it's just easier just to go through it this way. Sam Heck, round 5. This might be the steal of the draft for the Panthers at 144. I had him in my top 80. He might be their starting center. Like he might win that job outright.
Oh, there's a legitimate chance he's for sure their center.
And then they followed up at 151 was Akee Wheatley, also in my top 100. Incredible pick for them. And then right behind that, you see Justin Joly, Denver. We kind of touched base on that. I think Justin Joly in Denver is a phenomenal fit. He's going to supplant Evan Ingram at some point and be this move around tight end piece that Sean Payton's going to love. I am very excited for Joly in Denver.
Yeah, I think Joey's a great fit. Abney fell a little bit farther than I thought he would have. Keith Abney.
I had him in my 60s, top 60.
Yeah.
And the Lions got him at 157, an absolute good get. Chuck Demings, corner from Stephen F. Austin's first time I'm even bringing the Vikings up. I had him at 112. I love him. And
that's your favorite pick.
That is far and away my favorite pick that the Vikings made. That's not true. We're going to get Damon Claiborne. But the fact that like we took a fullback at 159, I know we value the fullback position, but Emmett Johnson was sitting right there. Emmett Johnson is from Minnesota. Yeah. We had him in for top 130s. You draft Emmett Johnson at 159, Charles Demings at 163. You could draft your fullback in the 6th round, and it would have looked way better. But I'm glad we got this physical boundary corner who's just like very low key, down to earth. I watched his press conference. He was super excited about being drafted in Minnesota, talking about how at one of his games, like the scouts could tell him he looks good in purple, so he knew the Vikings were interested in him. I think Chuck Demings is a great fit for Brian Flores.
Yeah, for sure. He fits the Brian Flores corners perfectly, and I think he's going to be able to use him very well, being Brian Flores.
Emmett Johnson, I did bring him up.
Great pick. Great pick.
How Kansas City utilizes him with Ken Walker.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be on the field much his rookie year, just with the way Andy Reid runs. It's going to be Ken Walker because they paid him. But if Ken Walker starts fumbling, which he's had an issue with in the past, and making dumb runs, running backwards, and constantly getting -5, -4 runs, At some point, Andy Reid's going to be like, okay, we got to start giving the ball to someone else. I don't think that's going to happen to Ken Walker, but there's a chance he just kind of reverts backwards to 2 years ago, Ken Walker.
Yeah, and there's no reason to think that Emmett Johnson can't outplay Brashard Smith for the RB2 spot there in Kansas City.
Hey, shout out Bernard Smith, though. I like both those guys. To be honest, I'm not a big Ken Walker guy, so kick that guy to the curb.
Kamari Ramsey, 141.
Good
pick for Houston. Again, like the fourth and fifth round, like you kind of see a lot of like good value. Jalen Kilgore, he was player 100 for me. The Bills got him at 167. Joe Royer, who was a top 5 tight end, the Browns get him here at 170. Nice value pick there. I loved Hezekiah Massis, him at 175. Cole Payton at 178. Kevin Coleman Jr. at 177 for Miami. Their third receiver, I think he's real fun. I know Merck really likes Kevin Coleman, so I'm excited to talk to him to see how he feels about Miami taking him there. And Cyrus Allen as well. I really liked Cyrus Allen from Cincinnati. I think he's great for Kansas City. He's going to kind of just be this middle of the field operator, and he's real shifty. He'll make you miss. Chandler Rivers, Baltimore. He's a dog, so obviously ends up in Baltimore there. But a lot of good picks here in the fifth round, and then there's the Vikings who took a fullback.
Hey, it happens.
Besides that pick, Reggie Virgil, like the Texas Tech receivers weren't my cup of tea. So I don't love that pick for the Cardinals there at 143. But other than that, fifth round's pretty solid.
Yeah, I like you're really seeing that, like the way draft boards fell, like the fourth and fifth round. There's still guys that are like people had in their top 100 because that's the way this draft was. Like everyone from like 30 down to 140, we're all kind of just clumped in the same boat, and you could have any of those guys like mixed and matched. And the way the board fell, you kind of really see it. Like teams don't value some of these guys, or other teams tremendously value these guys and are taking them 2 to 3 rounds earlier than anyone ever would have expected. So the board fell a lot different than most draft classes do. So it was fun to watch.
Final 2 rounds, Taylor Green, 182. I understand the upside there, though crowded quarterback room in Cleveland. Adding Taylor Green to a room that's got Deshaun Watson, Shadur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel.
I don't like that pick at all. The Browns just need to not. They have too much room. There's too many guys in that room. There's no point to draft a kid here when you're going to give the year to Shadur. And if he doesn't work out, I'm sure Watson's going to get the ball. And then they're going to be all in on a quarterback next year. So, like, at what point is Green even going to get a chance to see pro snaps? Like, yeah, he's going to be taking reps in, like, practice as, like, the third quarterback. But
I wonder if they talk to him about a position change, possibly.
That's a possibility, for sure. That would not shock me.
Yeah. Fat Man, Katron Allen. I know I was a little lower on him than consensus. I thought this was a great spot for him, though. 187 to Washington.
Him going so close to Emmett Johnson is a slap in the face, though. And I like both kids.
Nick Singleton also went in that range. He was up here in the fifth round.
They all went very close. And I'm like, Emmett Johnson should have went 2 rounds at least over the Penn State kids.
Yeah. But Katron Allen, like, there's a chance he ends up just being the starting running back there. Like, Washington's room isn't.
They got to go out and get someone, dude. There's no way it's Bill. It's no way it's Allen. I have not a clue what they're going to do. Cool. Who's not a starting running back? We've seen it in Tampa Bay. He's way better as a number 2.
Brian Parker, guard center from Duke. I think that's a nice little depth piece for the Bengals there. J.C. Davis, you guys drafted tackle guard from Illinois. I had him in my top 125, so I think that's a great get for you guys here at 192. Damon Claiborne, running back. He was another one of my favorite picks in Minnesota. He's got a little Achane in him, and we got Frank Smith, who was the offensive coordinator there in Miami with Achane. So I imagine he was pounding the table here for Claiborne, and we did a lot of research on him. This type of running back Minnesota didn't have in Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason. So I'm very excited to seeing what he does in this offense if given an opportunity.
Yeah, 197 to CJ. The receiver from Miami to the Rams. I like that fit a lot. Yeah, I think him fitting what the Rams really know how to use receivers to their strengths. And yeah, he's not going to be like the next Puka or any of that stuff, but he's a guy that could easily be a Tutu Atwell or a Jordan Whittington. Like one of these guys the Rams plug and play. Like Daniels could be that kind of guy. We've seen the last year in Miami. He had like 600 yards. 8 touchdowns, something like that, something crazy. He had a nice little year under Carson Beck.
Yeah. Sticking with Lewis Bond, Boston College, I really liked him. He was in my top 20 wide receivers, and to me, the Texans picking him at 204. This is a fallback if Tank Dell isn't back. So now, if Tank Dell isn't able to make it back, and who knows with him and devastating injury, that Jalen Noel steps into that role, and then Lewis Bond could be the backup to Jalen Noel. So this is a good fallback for them here in the 6th round. I think Lewis Bond's a really good football player. The Jaguars drafted a Stanford wide receiver who I'd never heard of, and I couldn't find anything about him. So Jacksonville, kudos for having the wildest draft board of all time. That's really it for this round.
What they do, dude.
It's kind of just like out there. Yeah.
Yeah, the 6th round was kind of just like, okay. This is where we're kind of getting into like
215.
These guys are making sense that they're going
Atlanta
towards the 6th and 7th round at this point.
Good upside pick, Harold Perkins at 215 for Atlanta. I thought that was one of their better draft picks. Round 7 to round this out. Garrett Nussmeier is the biggest like out there one. Like, wow, Garrett Nussmeier to Kansas City at where is he? He's there he is at 249. One of the five or six last picks of the draft. It'll be interesting seeing what goes there, and then this gives them a true quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes. I know Justin Fields is the backup, but Garrett Nussmeier now gives you a potential guy that you could develop and maybe end up moving him for like a 5th or a 4th round pick in the future if he proves to be, healthy and, effective there. But I think that's a spot you make that pick. And then 254, Deion Burks. Like, I was lower on Deion Burks, but 254 is egregious.
Great pick. Yeah, Colts lucked out with 254, the Burks falling that far. They didn't address wide receiver up until that pick, and they obviously are way higher on Pierce than I am. Obviously, they paid him like a number 1 wide receiver, which I don't think he is. I still don't think this team has a number 1 wide receiver. But getting Burks into that room it's nice because I get Josh Downs is small, but he's not like quick and twitchy kind of like Burks is. So it's a nice piece with Pierce and Downs as well. But to get him in the 7th, we'll see if he even makes the team at this point. But I love that pick. I think he could actually make the team and do some damage there with Indianapolis.
Yeah, you got these pick here, like 249 Garrett Nussmeier, 250 Rayshon Benny, the defensive tackle from Michigan, and then Deion Burks, wide receiver Oklahoma. There were cases those guys could have easily went in the top 100. Like I had Burks.
I had Benny on the right side. I had Benny like 115.
Yeah. So
I had Benny right on the outside of 100. I had Burks in my top 100. And I don't think I had Nussmeier in my top 100, but he was like 115. He was right on the outside of top 100. So to get those guys a late 7th round, middle 200s, so that's a crazy pick. I also like the VJ Payne pick at 228. I had him right.
I had him at like 87 on my board, and the Jets got him at 228. I think that's incredible value. A guy who's going to play special teams and just be a really effective part of the that defense there for Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn's going to really like him. And then Aaron Glenn might have had a draft that saved his job. Honestly, like that's how
we'll see how he coaches. Nah.
Yeah. Ethan Callie Akmanis getting drafted. Wild. Former Minnesota Golden Gopher over Garrett Nussmeier. Biggest shock for me. I was blown away when I saw his name pop up on the screen. Anyone else? There's Jaguars drafting a Middle Tennessee State linebacker.
No, like I said, round 6 and 7 kind of actually make a lot of sense. The way they fell, but like round 3, 4, 5, those rounds were like wild and a lot of depth and talent went off the board. 6 and 7 kind of just mellowed out, and it's kind of felt like the way I thought it would have, except for like a couple picks, like you said, Nussmeier, Burks,
Benny.
Benny for sure, Payne, those guys. Other than that, though,
it was cool to see Uar Bernard, who's part of the international program from Nigeria. He got drafted by the Eagles. So that
I feel they do that every year. I feel they draft one of those kids that are like a rugby player.
And then Red Murdoch, really good football player out of Buffalo, Mr. Irrelevant. I think that's a nice little pick there in Denver to finish off the draft cycle.
Buffalo knows how to produce those linebackers, dog.
Yeah, we love Shane Dolock. And now that Red Murdoch, I think Red Murdoch's as good, if not better, than Shane Dolock was as a prospect.
Khalil Mack go to Buffalo? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought so. Buffalo, dude, they got them linebackers. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
There we go. Just a little quick run through, just some picks, shouting them out. But next week we'll do more deeper dive. We'll start off with the NFC on Tuesday, and then Thursday we'll do the AFC as we'll go through, kind of give our thoughts on like the draft classes as a whole and all that stuff.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm excited to actually like look through individual draft like teams and their draft classes instead of just going through the draft board. So
yeah, it's funny. I got home and I'm just like, I heard Anthony Hill's name come up and I'm like, who even drafted Anthony Hill? Like, you just kind of get lost in the sauce.
You forget. Like days after the draft, you just dead ass forget. And we run hundreds of mocks in the offseason. Like, I still low-key think Kalijah Cansey got drafted by Tampa Bay because we drafted him so often to Tampa Bay. And that man just signed like a fifth-year option with the Rams today. And I was like, that guy doesn't play for Tampa?
Kalijah Cansey does play for Tampa.
No, who plays for the Rams? So either way, we had to like vice versa. Oh, I seen you guys picked up the 5th on Addison. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine. Yeah, you do it.
Sure. I don't want that guy on my team.
You do it on the chance that it gives you another year to move him.
I guess, but what's
Vikings didn't draft a receiver.
I know.
It's mind-blowing to me.
Well, it's because I would assume you guys knew you were picking up your 5th. Yeah. I would assume you had the 5th already locked in.
We did have Juwan Jennings coming in for a visit on Wednesday.
I did see that.
Be thrilled if he is.
You guys also traded your best defensive end to Philly.
Yeah.
So
it was a
rough weekend for Theo.
Yeah, and looking back, we'll get into it with Caleb Banks.
You guys think you're rebuilding at this point?
No, I don't. I think Brian Flores ran the draft for the Vikings, judged by the picks. Charles Demings, Caleb Banks, Dominic Arn, Jake Golday. They're not bad football players. I like all of them. I see the vision. It's just not the vision I was going towards or expecting, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely not the way I thought you guys would draft, but I understand most of it. I still would have snagged the receiver at some point. I mean, I like Felton. I like Felton a lot coming out. I think he's a good number 3. I don't think he's a number 2, but I think you just got to get rid of Addison at this point. Just cut your losses. It's too much of a wild card. And I love Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison was my number 1 wide receiver coming out of college. I love Addison.
I do not think we will sign Jordan Addison long term. I do think we picked up the 5th-year option just to find a way to flexible to move him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think we attempt to move him until after A.J. Brown gets dealt.
Well, June 1st is right around the corner, brother. Don't you worry about it.
No. If we're bad going into the trade deadline, it wouldn't surprise me if we move Addison then.
See, that's what I expect Addison to get moved in the middle of the year. That's why I didn't even think you guys would pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I get it. It gives you more time in case you can't find a trade partner. Mm-hmm. I get it. Yeah.
Trading Gennard for 2/3 and then using the 1/3 on a safety who I like, Jacoby Thomas from Miami. But I liked him more. He was like a fringe top 150 guy for me, and he went 98. So perfect fit for Flores, though. He runs with his head down, and he will murder you. So
yeah, for sure.
Like I said, we'll see. We'll get more into the Vikings class. You can hear me kind of rant and rave about how indifferent I am to it. Anything else before we jump out?
Nah, I think I'm good, man.
All right. If you haven't already, like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. For Nick, I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. Just one episode this week. Adios.
Bye.